Well, I want to welcome everybody to another conversation here on the On Deck Circle. I am Kenny R. Hampton, and I'm excited to have just an opportunity to have a platform where current and former athletes like myself can just have a conversation about what we're doing next in our lives. Many of us have given a lot or dedicated a lot of our life to becoming a professional athlete. And if we made it, great. If we didn't, that's a tough thing and sometimes tough pill for us to swallow. And the transition can be difficult, but that's just a vehicle in our lives that we were driving at one point. And there's some incredible things that God has in store for us in the next chapters of our lives. So the On Deck Circle has been truly a blessing to a lot of people. It's been blessing me personally just to hear some stories about some of the things that other athletes have gone through and some things that they've been able to use as testimonies in their lives. So I'm excited. I'm incredibly excited about this conversation tonight. We've been doing a series called Love and Basketball, and this is part 3 of that series. And it's something that's actually pretty cool because the gentleman that we have with us this evening, he's doing exactly what we all should be doing. And it's hashtag spread love the kingdom way. And it's my guy, Tihon Johnson. He's I want to say he's a legend here in Columbus, Ohio, right? And he's doing some incredible things with the Kingdom Summer League. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what the Kingdom Summer League, what's that's all about. But you're going to hear so much about how he's actually doing what he's talking about with that hashtag spreading love the kingdom way. So without any further ado, I want to introduce to everyone my guy, Tihon Johnson. How you doing, big guy?
Man, I'm good. I appreciate you having me on your platform, on your show. It's an honor and a privilege, man. So I'm excited to be on here, man. I've been patiently waiting.
And I consider it an honor, man, because I remember, learning about the Kingdom Summer League and just seeing how you've been able to allow athletes to have a place where they can go and compete at a high level. Some guys in their off season because they were playing professional ball. Some guys in their off season because they were in college. And then you got some young guns out there that's out there just trying to see if they can test the waters and see where their competition is at as far as their skill level. And I've admired that, man. So kudos to you. The name has always stuck out to me, Kingdom. You all about kingdom business, but I just like how you are authentic, you are transparent in your mission to actually spread love the kingdom way. So let's talk a little bit about your early beginnings and where did this passion for basketball begin? Is it something that you came out of the womb wanting to get shots up, or is this something that you found later in your life?
No, I wasn't born a basketball player or born to do it like some guys. Early on in life, I was bouncing around a lot. My mom, single parent mom, young mom, I think she had me at probably 17 or something like that. So she was trying to figure stuff out, and we were bouncing around. And I had some uncles on my mother's side that played football. My uncles played football. So naturally, I gravitated towards football. That was my first love for a long time.
What position?
I never played, bro. I played just backyard football, but I wanted to play. But what happened is, like, when it was time for me to play on one of the neighborhood teams, my mom wouldn't let me, man. First of all, we was dirt poor, so she used to always make that excuse, like, I ain't got it to, you know what I mean? I got $40 for, the cleats and, the pads and all that.
Yeah.
And then it was like, if you get hurt and all that, she would never let me play, man. It hurt me.
That's my story too, right? Like, I didn't play organized football until my senior year of college.
Really?
My parents kept me away from football because they didn't want me to get hurt. And I was like you. I was a beast in the streets.
Yeah.
Every position.
Man, anything. I used to be in Trevitt. All my dudes from Trevitt know. I used to be all-time quarterback by that point, like when I became a teenager. But I wanted to play receiver. I wanted to play receiver. At one point, I wanted to play running back. And I had the skill and the drive for it. But my mom wouldn't let me, man. So that was my first love, football.
Okay.
But then, so real quick, man, my mom is from Cambridge, Ohio. So I was there. I was between Cambridge, Zanesville, and Columbus growing up.
Oh, wow.
And by the time we came, she had like all of her different babies in different cities. Like we just kept bouncing around. And then she let me live with my grandmother for a few years. And then when I came back to her, I probably was like 8 or 9 when I came back with my mom. And she lived in Greenbrier. We lived in the projects. Mm-hmm. So out there it was just football, like I said, all the time. And then we moved to Trevor Heights. Well, Bolivar Arms first, which is another project. And Trevor Heights is connected to it. They're like 2 different projects with the same neighborhood. So, yeah, when I went out there, we went to the rec center. Greenbrier never had a rec center. So I started going to the rec center every day, and I started playing basketball. And I just kept playing and kept playing and kept playing. In a few years, you know, I fell in love with it, man. And basketball is one of those sports. It's an everyday sport. You know, it don't matter what season it is. You can go in the gym or you can go outside. You can play by yourself. It's a poor man's sport. Basketball and soccer are the two most famous sports in the world because they're poor man's sport. All you need is a ball. You know what I'm saying? In soccer, you need a ball in the field. Basketball, you need a ball in the rim. And in the U.S., there's a rim everywhere. So
that's a great point.
Yeah. So I just, you know, it was the thing to do in our neighborhood. And football is seasonal. In the Midwest, it's too cold. You know what I'm saying? So you start going in the gym and going in the rec center, and I just started falling in love with it. But I really didn't get good until later. I was a late bloomer. Early on, if I ever wrote a book, I have a chapter called 9 to 16. So from like 9 to 16, I was just getting in trouble, wilding out. I really didn't have any guidance. Like I said, my mom was single parent mom at the time. It's 7 of us now, but at the time she was raising 5. And I was the oldest, so no older brothers or nobody around. So I was just in the streets. My mom worked 3 to 11. So I was in the streets, in the projects, just figuring it out, running with the older homies, you know what I'm saying? And I was getting in trouble a lot, man. I was getting into a lot of trouble. Got a couple court dates, probation. I never went to jail, but one time I had 2 court dates at the same time, like one at like 9 o'clock and one at like 11:30 or something crazy like that. So I was wilding, man. And then probably like 8th grade, I really started to get serious about playing basketball. And I just started getting good, man. I just started playing every day. Come from a rough neighborhood, so naturally, you know, you embody that style, you know, playing rough and aggressive. And I just started putting time into it, and I got better.
Man, so when you talked about the poor man's sport, that's like a great way to really explain basketball, because I immediately thought about the crates. You know, there were times where some people they didn't have a rim, so they would just grab a light pole, nail up a crate, and get after it. Or I'm thinking about not being able to afford nets, so you just out there just shooting you know, with no net. But to think about it, man, you know, that's amazing to have something like that. You know, that upbringing is what it sounds like. That's what was fueling you to say, you know what, let me go ahead and see what I can do with this, because obviously the streets was doing what the streets was going to do, and then you had a point where you like, all right, if I'm gonna be good at something, let me go ahead and just lace these shoes up and go out here and go hard.
Most definitely.
So when you decided to do that, so your 9th and 8th or 8th going into your 9th grade years, where it sounded like it's time for me to go ahead and see what I can do with this.
Yeah. So going into my 9th grade year, I didn't play middle school. 8th grade year, my the coach told me, "You're the best player in the whole school, and you can't even play." He was mad at me. Wasn't getting the grades, wilding out. 9th grade year, I went to East, which is my home school. I went to East for the first day of school. And the coach that was there was named Coach White. Called me. He knew about me from some people in the neighborhood or whatever. And called me to the side at lunch, told me to stay at East. He got plans for me, this and this and that. But I already knew I was leaving, because the same people that I went to Champion Middle School with was at East, and I just was acting a fool. And I'm like, I knew I wasn't strong enough at that point to really be in that environment. It's the same people. I'm gonna be doing the same thing. So I left. I wanted to go to Independence. That was right off the hills of Kenny and Esty doing their thing there. My uncle was the coach there, but they had too many incoming freshmen. So the only thing left was Centennial. A lot of people from my neighborhood was there. I went to Centennial. I actually played my 9th grade year a couple games.
Okay.
and they put me on JV, and I know I was at, and Coach Mike Bell, if you ever see this, he attests to it. He was the JV coach. He's from my neighborhood. I love him like a big brother. But he was the JV coach, and I used to be fighting and fussing like, man, why I ain't on varsity? I know I'm at least the 5th best player in this school, man. Like,
Right.
I was pretty good. So me and Mike used to get into it. He was trying to show me tough love, and I quit. I quit like a few games in. Maybe I don't even remember how many games. So, yeah, that happened. And then my 10th grade year, I got on probation. I got probation, and I had to go to school, but I didn't get my grades. And then Coach Osborne, who just retired, he was there, and he knew my parole officer. I mean, not parole, but probation officer.
Right.
And he called me in his office, was like, man, I know your probation officer. It's over for you. Like, I'm about to make sure you're on the straight and narrow. So he just helped me. And then my 11th grade year, I got my grades, and I turned out, and, you know, I caught the eyes of everybody. And from there, I knew it was real. Like, and to your original point, man, I knew that, okay, I was getting court dates. I got probation. I was getting too close to jail. Some of my friends was going to jail for stretches, and a couple of my friends got killed. I'm 15, 16 at this time. I'm like, yeah, I got to really make a decision.
Yeah.
So, man, I just dove all the way in, man. And like you said, that pain and that hunger and that wanting to escape that street route. Because even when I was out there, I was like, nah, I know this ain't my future. But I didn't know what was my escape. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the Most High gave me that as an escape to you know, make something of my life.
That's powerful. So during this time, let me get a better picture. You're the oldest of 7. So how many siblings did you have around this time of your life?
5. It was 5 at this time.
So you had 5 siblings that was looking up to Big Brother, watching every single move, trying to figure out what he gonna do. And the reason why I go there is because I'm the oldest of 4. So like I really embraced that role growing up, because it gave me some guardrails in life, because I knew I had somebody else looking behind me and looking up to me. And I'm thinking, like, I don't want them to go outside the home to find a role model or to find somebody that's going to give them a good example of how to walk this life. And a lot of it had to do with the upbringing that we had, you know, growing up a pastor's kid and growing up in a godly home. So it was like, you know, and obedience was just something that I kind of took. I really had a passion about it, because I'm thinking, I want my family to reap the benefits of my obedience rather than reap the repercussions of, you know, my disobedience. So, you know, I'm sure you were thinking the same thing. If you had 5 siblings behind you, like, you know what, let me go ahead and clean up my act and get some stuff.
I wish I could say the same. I wish I could say the same, but I'd be lying, bro.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be lying. So for me, like I loved and I cared about my brothers and sisters that was under me, but like I was in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? I was legit in the jungle. Anybody that's watching this from my hood know that I'm telling the truth. Like, so I was trying to really figure it out, like really trying to figure out how to get money, hustle, whatever we could do. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, my mom did the best she could, but she was overwhelmed. She didn't know what we was facing. And for me, I'll give you this. My mom read the word to me and my brothers and sisters and I all the way through.
Wow.
So by the time, before I got to middle school, my mom then read the word all the way through to us. So the seed was planted. But like I said, like through 9 through 16, it was just like, it was a super attack. So once I got old enough and bold enough to be like, man, I ain't going to church and doing all this and boom, 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 and let outside influences kind of deter me from the faith, it was, now I'm all the way out here. I give you this example. Coming up, Minister Society was my favorite movie. Like, I watched that movie more than anything.
Okay.
So to me, I gravitated towards the dude, Old Dog.
Yep.
Because he was just like reckless. He didn't care about nothing. And I felt like I had to be all in like that. I felt like I had that mentality to survive. Like I said, I didn't have anybody to, no father figure, no male figure. All the male figures that I looked up to was into the streets or doing something they shouldn't have been doing. So yeah, I wish I could say that, but it wasn't that. But when I did turn the corner, I saw that I was the leader for real. So I got two sisters is right up under me. So when I was out there wilding, she got out there. But for her to be out there at 13, 14 is different. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I saw the negative effects of me not walking in the leadership role, but then I think I was able through the game of basketball, able to kind of rectify it. You know what I'm saying? By doing the right thing, getting scholarship opportunities, going off to college, and you know what I'm saying, trying to right that wrong. And then in the end, it did have a positive effect on the younger sibling.
That's what's up. So it all worked together for y'all good. So, you know, that wasn't the seed was planted, but the seed definitely wasn't really taking root until like later down the road. And,
exactly.
You know, but for it to be a thing that you have now that's a part of your story, I'm sure that you can reach a lot of youth and you can reach a lot of people because they can relate to being in that 9 to 16 mindset and having that jungle experience. And I'm sure you're able to really impact a lot of lives with that testimony, man.
Definitely.
So,
I'll tell you something real quick. I was working at a DH facility for about a year or two, and that would be my story. You know, now people see a reformed version of you, and they think what they think. But you know, I had deep conversations with a lot of the at risk, what they call them, at risk youth, and that I was working with, and I would let them know, like, man, listen, the difference between you and I is you got caught. I did. Like I was doing the same thing, you know, same situation. And I just told them, like, you just, you know, use this time wisely, find a passion, and, you know, chase it, you know, and I would try to help these guys. And some of them I could relate to them on the sports level. Some of them ain't in the sports, so it would be something else. But I left there and I saw maybe 6 or 7 of them, man, and it was just, they were like, man, you made such an impact on me, and da da da. And that to me was so priceless. Like to be able, like you said, to be able to use some of the ills and the things I had to go through, and to be able to help somebody out, it was priceless.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. And then if you really want to fast forward, that's what you're doing now, man. You're being that whole spread love the kingdom way. That requires you to really be transparent. That way you can be authentic in your ministry and be authentic in your delivery. Because if you're not, these young folks, they like, man, you can miss me with that because you're not keeping 100 with me. You're not being real with me. And the more real and transparent you and I are with whomever we're mentoring right now, the more impact we're going to have on their lives, man. So kudos to you for turning that corner. And let's talk a little bit about the college days. So obviously you did some big things at the high school level, and then you was able to position yourself for some scholarship opportunities. So let's talk a little bit about where you landed and that process, and how did those last couple of seasons go for you, your junior and senior year in high school?
Junior and senior year was amazing, man. I just burst on the scene. It's funny because, like, at the time, DMX was coming out, and he just, you know how he just, I don't know if you remember, but he just burst on the scene and was one of the hottest things out. And it was like, that's kind of how I came on the Columbus City League scene. Like, nobody outside of my neighborhood really knew me, and I'm all state, and I think I was either the second leading scorer in the area or something like that. And just, you know, it was just success that I wasn't even prepared for. I just was hungry, these dudes can't check me. That was my mindset. But, you know, God bestowed a lot of success upon me, and I was getting calls and getting calls from Big Ten schools and Big East schools, and it was crazy, man, out of nowhere. And whole time I got a 0.9.
Ooh.
Like I literally almost dropped out of school my 10th grade year. If I wasn't on probation, I would have dropped out of school.
Wow.
But so now I'm in this space where, like, okay, so the coach at Centennial was like, all right, well, look, you're going to have to go to – after my junior year, I went to night school. I was so far behind, I had to go to night school, summer school, go to night school during the season, and night school after the season. That's how far behind I was.
Mm-hmm.
So he mapped it out for me. But honestly, there were some things that transpired that made me lose trust with him, during my junior year and even before that. So I just was like, man, I'm out. I'm out. Like, I wanted to win. We weren't winning, but I was having all the individual success. So I ended up transferring to my home school, back to East. And all my friends, my best friends were there. And people thought it wasn't going to work because I was so ball dominant and had a scoring mentality. But they put me at the point guard. It was my first time really playing point guard. I made the adjustment. We had a lot of success. We went to the state tournament. And yeah, it was everything I could ask for. And then in the midst of that, shout out to my good friend Devin Green. He played for the Lakers.
Okay.
He came down. He moved down from Akron. We met each other on the court at the old hoop. Went at it. Had a mutual respect. Formed a lifelong friendship. And he was going to Hampton. There's another City League legend named Isaac Jefferson that was at Hampton at the time. Okay. And they were getting all the Ohio guys that they could. And Devin told them about me. And they came to the game. I didn't even know they were coming or nothing. I had a real good game. After the game, it's just my coach and one of their assistant coaches. And the guy from Hampton says, man, listen, man, we know about your grade situation. We know about everything. Devin told us how good you were. Boom, 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 boom. And they offered me a scholarship. Now, mind you, I got like 10th grade credits. I got 10th grade credits in the 12th grade. And they offered me a scholarship. I'm like, yo, I didn't know that I could go D1 and straight out of high school. So I signed that scholarship, but I didn't do all that night school and all that. So I had to go to prep school to graduate. I didn't graduate coming out of high school. So I went to prep school, and they weren't going to be – I wasn't going to be able to pay for it. There was no more scholarships at the prep school. Hampton was supposed to pay for it. Long story short, I came home, like it was around September 11th. I came home. I went to night school. It was a continuation school at North Adult back in the day. Hampton still wants me to come there, but I'm mad because now I'm just home on my own, I feel like. Long story short, the principal at the night school sees me there, calls me in the office, asks me my situation, and he was like, you know what? I like your game. I see you coming to school every day trying to continue on. I'm going to make some calls for you. I'm like, all right. That next day, I get a call from DePaul and Iowa State.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, dang, he got the juice for real. So,
right.
so I took a visit to Iowa State. I didn't take a visit to DePaul. I took a visit to Iowa State. And they asked me, and this is one of my regrets, but it is, you learn to live with them. They asked me, did I want to sign? If I did, I would have had to Prop 48. Because I still was, at the time, I'm still going to night school and all this. So making my own decisions at 19 years old, I was like, nah, I don't want to sit out 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But I'm not knowing. I'm going to be practicing every day, D1 level. But I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. So what they did was, I don't know if you remember Jamal Tinsley. Yeah. He was one of probably the best point guard that ever came through there, went to the NBA. Anyway, they sent me to his junior college in California. So I went to it's called San Jacinto. I went out there, did real well, brought a couple of my friends with me, actually 3 of my friends with me, and we tore Cali up, man. We tore Cali up. It was a JUCO All-American. Man, I got my sophomore year, I was heavily recruited, man, to the point where UConn was #1 in the country, and they won the national championship that year. They used to call me every day. Wow. So yeah, it was incredible. I had tons of schools on me, and but that was like a year. To me. I'll say this before I continue this story. Like, when I look over my career, I kind of it's bittersweet because I look at it from both spectrums. Like, I look at it for a long time. I looked at it like I was unsuccessful. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do like I didn't stay on the trajectory that I had expected for myself. And but then as I got older, I got wiser in the faith, and I started to understand more. I look at myself as a success because knowing where I came from and just getting out of that situation and being able to go, see the world with the game of basketball and make an impact with the game of basketball, I know I'm a success. But during that time, it hurt, and I'll continue on my story. So I was getting all these big schools, got offers from some big schools, took visits to Creighton and San Diego State, and got an offer from Baylor. Had a chance to get a package, be in a package deal with one of my best friends that went to Memphis. So it was just like, and I low-key had the arrogance with me too. But at the same time, it was like God was waking me up, man. And he was calling me back. He was calling me back. My mom told me some years later, like, everywhere you went, I prayed that there'd be a witness around you. And it rang to be true, man, for sure. And I could just like pinpoint every year, like somebody that was around me that was always encouraging me in the Lord, you know what I mean? So I think that was to me, at that point I had God, I had basketball as a God, as my God, like not a God, as God, period. Yeah. And he had to humble me, and that was the way that he humbled me. So basically everything just dried up so fast, man. Boom, 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 boom. Because when the signing period, boom, scholarships is left and right. You might be somebody's first option, but if you don't sign by a certain time, they're going to do what they can. So, so it went from all these high majors to like 3 mid majors. Wow. And I'm just like, but and I got to be real, at the time I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do either. I'll give you a quick story and I'll come all the way back. So in the midst of my sophomore year, I come home. My mom was having brain surgery. So I come home. I fly home. I go to check on my mom. She had a successful surgery. I probably spent maybe 2 hours with her. Maybe. I should have been there the whole night, whole time I was there. I was there for like 3 days. I should have been by her side, all this. But I jump in I go get with my homies. I'm running around in the streets, probably chasing girls. We got like a pound of weed in the car. And I got a 38 on me. Real story. I got a 38 on me. We go to the gas station. Boom, I come back. Gun fall out my pocket. On my hip. Police is right there. They follow me from, there's a BP on Broad Street, like near downtown to like where East is. Follow me, barricade me, got the guns drawn, ask me where the weapon is. I just tell them the truth. Every time I got pulled over by the cops, I just complied and told them the truth. Like, So I just told them everything. They told me fit the description of somebody that just shot their baby mom's house up, something, whatever. They put us all, me and 2 of my friends, they put us all in separate vehicles. So my other friend is in the back, like, man, my friend is a big-time recruit. He going to the league, saying all this stuff. So the cops come back up to me like, what's your name? What you doing here? What do you do? So everything I'm saying is checking out what he's saying, right? Yeah. So they're like, we remember you. You went to East a couple years ago. Boom, 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 boom. We're just going to confiscate the gun, go back to school. Man, because I'm in the backseat of the cruiser praying like, oh, my God, like it's over. I'm in the middle of the season, and I came out here for 3 days to go. My mom's having a brain surgery, and I'm in the streets doing some nonsense. So that was just like the grace that God had on my life, and I felt him pulling me, man, pulling me. So then he humbled me, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up going to a school that I hated. I hated the visit. I don't know why I went. I went there because the assistant coach recruited me at Vincent's junior college when I was at East, and I had a relationship with him over the years. And then when the head coach came, he was like, man, I'm going to give you the keys. He said, if UConn was recruiting you, what you think I'm going to let you do? So I went to the University of Idaho, and I went out there, and he gave me the keys for a little while, but it was an adjustment for me. And, man, I just lost my way, honestly, man. Who I am and who I am as a player and as a person, I just lost my way. I second-guessed myself. I don't know. I just wasn't myself. But to me, it was like the best thing that happened to me because it really taught me humility, and it really, truly brought me back to God for real. Because it wouldn't. What'd you say?
I said that's powerful.
Yeah, it would have been at that time. Nothing else probably could have. Like my mom was on having brain surgery.
Yeah.
At the time, you know, I had a slew of women. You know, I had money. I didn't care about nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So basketball I had it too high, and he just humbled me. He brought me back to him. He reduced me back to him, and I'm thankful for it. But it was a crazy situation. So I felt like I underachieved, man. I had so much talent and skill, but by his grace, I still salvaged the career, and I've been blessed to play, you know, overseas and do a lot with the game, man, and train and give back. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So he's had a lot of favor on your life, even in the midst of the times where you like, man, I should be here because of what the trajectory I was on. But God, like, nah, actually, you should be there. Like you shouldn't even be on this earth anymore.
Yeah.
But you have no idea what I've been protecting you from, and what I knew what would be occurring down the road. So you touched on something, man, that was really profound when you said that you should have been in the hospital with your mom, but you made a decision to go out and you know, hang out with your fellas. That's something that I think a lot of young folk need to hear, how to make those decisions like that, because like you were saying, like it's bittersweet, or I regret some of this stuff, but I got to live with it. You know, talk to a young man like right now, like, listen, if you got somebody in a situation, a loved one that's in a situation like that, you need to be by their side. You need to make the better decision, for sure.
Flat out. And I'll say this, you know, family, man, is the most important thing, man. Outside of whatever your belief, or it ties in. I can't even say outside, because whatever your belief system is going to tie into your family anyway. But family is the most important thing. And I used to have people who come from close-knit families tell me that all the time, but I couldn't experience it because my upbringing didn't allow me to experience that. Like, I was an outcast for a while. I was once I turned into a little hoodlum, I was an outcast in the eyes of my distant relatives. My mom couldn't control me. My pops is in prison. Like, I didn't have that close-knit family. I raised myself pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, so even to this day, you know, being married, my wife comes from one of the closest knit families, and they've been ingratiated me in and embraced me from day one, but it's still awkward for me. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, me and her have disputes about it. Nothing crazy, but it's just like, she was like, no, this is what we do. And it's support and it's love. And I've just been low-key a lone wolf my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, making it happen, figuring it out. So yeah, man, family is number one. But now that I have my own family, it's easy. I get it now. Like, okay, my wife, my children, like, I live for them, kill for them, die for them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, anybody who sees this that's a young person, man, your family is always going to be there for you. Your family is first. You know what I'm saying?
And you're doing an incredible job. You're doing an incredible job raising your beautiful family, man. You know, shout out to you and Saniqua. You know, that's what it's about. And I'm glad to hear that you place it so high on your priority list, because that's our practice court. The home is you and I. That's where we go and we work on these things that we want to turn around and try to pour into these other athletes and these other young men and women. We got to be doing the same thing in the house. So kudos to you for that. I wanted to also ask you about, you said when you went out to Idaho and you playing D1 basketball, and you at this place where you like, you just wasn't yourself. You wasn't the same basketball player. I dealt with that playing at Kentucky State, playing baseball, where I lost my way in the sport. Like, I didn't play at the level that I knew I was capable of playing. And it was for various reasons. I was going through a crazy growth spurt late in my life. I also mentally just wasn't able to connect with, you know, the demands of playing at the college level. So I had my struggles. But I ended up pulling it together in my junior and senior year of baseball. I ended up having a great career. But talk to me a little bit about like what you was experiencing mentally when you say that you wasn't feeling yourself there, because I mean, you came in there obviously as this big time prospect, this big time recruit.
Definitely.
And then you just didn't, it just, for some reason, it did not click for you when you were on that campus to have the career or the success that you was looking for?
Two things for me. First and foremost, I think, like I told you, it was just, I think it was God. I believe it was God's way of just getting my attention, man. It wasn't nothing else that was gonna humble me. And two is I put these huge expectations on myself, and I instead of just playing, and I didn't have any faith. It was a lack of faith. It was a lack of faith. Not to make everything spiritual, but it was a lack of faith, because if I had real faith, I would have just went out there, worked on my game, and just played. But I put so much pressure on myself. I'm not kicking it. I'm not talking to no chicks. I'm not doing nothing. I'm about to just lock in.
Back when we were talking about the experience coming out of Idaho, and fast forward into, you decided, all right, let me go ahead and try to maximize my opportunity, which was to play overseas, right?
Yeah.
So
but
tell me,
even leaving there, I learned a lot, man. But I still was scarred. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still was scarred, and I had to find my way. But I did begin my own relationship with Christ and with the Most High, man, with the Heavenly Father, and it's been beautiful. It was some ups and downs, but I learned how to pray. I learned how to pray on my own. I learned how to read the Word on my own. I learned how to fast on my own, and walk with Him, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's been, about 15 years. That's been 15 years ago. So, man, I've grown a lot. I've had some lows, the lowest of lows, and I'm riding on the high right now. And I pray I can stay on this high, with my family, and being able to do some stuff for the community and just try to be a light. You know what I mean? So, yeah, on the basketball side, man, I was blessed to go to Europe. I played in Europe, and funny thing is, I had a daughter right after my senior year. I broke my foot my first year.
Okay.
Coming out, so I didn't play my first year. I was out for a whole year. But once again, I felt like it was the Heavenly Father aligning everything, because I was able to be home right until my daughter was born February 1st, and I was probably gone February 10th to go start my career. So, I broke my foot. I already was dealing with what I went through in college. I couldn't even watch college basketball at that time, man. I was just scarred. But then I just worked through it, man. He gave me a resilience and a toughness. But I think the second time around, the latter half of my career, it was like, okay, now do this with me. Allow me to work through you and allow me to give you a purpose with this basketball thing.
Right.
And I tapped into that, and I had a nice run. I played this year. I played in 2020 in China. Wow. So, so it's been a blessing, man. It's been some hiccups. I came home. I was going to say this. I went to Europe, and I didn't really even have the pro career I want to have, because I would have worked my way up the European ladder. But, man, I was on a train one time in Europe. I can't remember where I was going, but I just started writing. I was just like writing. And it was like basically an open letter to myself, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, it was basically like my pops wasn't in my life pretty much ever, you know what I mean? Couple times when he got out, but I'm like, man, I'm doing the same thing, because my daughter's mom and I weren't, didn't make it. So it's like I'm pretty much doing the same thing in the name of my career and trying to get money and chase what I love to do. I'm like, man, I got to check that. So I came home for like a year or two to establish. Well, I came home and played in the minors for a minute up until like I met Saniqua around then, and then I started getting back on the road and getting back overseas and everything. But yeah, I had to establish that relationship with my daughter and really be a father for real. I'm like, I remember one time when I was young, I don't know how old I was, maybe 13, 14, somewhere in there. But I was at Trevor Elementary School in my neighborhood, man, just shooting out there by myself, just shooting. And I just started crying out of nowhere. Like out of nowhere, just tears. And it was like, and the reason was, I just was like, man, I really don't got a dad. I really don't know my dad. I really don't know who I am, like in terms of my lineage and all of this. Like it just really hurt me. And I'm like 13, 14. And I made a vow to myself at that time, like, man, when I have kids, I'm gonna be a father. I don't care. Like I wasn't even thinking, I couldn't conceptualize like not being with the woman or marriage. Or I wasn't even thinking, I didn't see marriage in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't really fathom it, but I knew one thing, I was gonna be a father. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No matter what. And I stood tall on that. You know what I mean? With her, I went through hell. You know, I caused some hell, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't nothing gonna stop me from my daughter, you know what I mean, being a father. And I had to go to court and get my rights and all of that. But shoot, it just made me better and made me tougher as a man. And then Saniqua, man, I just love my wife. She just enhanced me, man. She stepped right in the blended situation and became, to me, Anaya's second mom. No disrespect to her mom, but, you know, Anaya's second mom. Mm-hmm. Then when we had our own children together, man, she's an amazing mother and pushes me to be a better father. You know what I mean? So,
wow.
Yeah,
that's a blessing, man. And shout out. So wait a minute, y'all just recently announced something, right?
Yeah, man. She shot me. I didn't even know. We got another one on the way, man. Speaking of amazing mother. So let me tell you something funny. We whole quarantine, we joking, laughing, quarantine babies, all this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't getting caught up. Next thing you know. And she caught me so off guard, man. I couldn't even. But it's funny because my youngest daughter, she doesn't play no games. She's about to be 5. Since she's probably been 2 or 3. I want a baby sister. Now she's like, I want a baby brother or a baby sister. She's like, I'm gonna pray for a baby. I'm praying for a baby. And them prayers got heard because we're definitely pregnant right now. So.
Prayers got through, man. But congratulations, man.
I appreciate it. But to go back to the original point, like I just came home on that note, but I was blessed to get back and have a career and play as long as I'm playing. And Heavenly Father just giving me good health to be able to still play on a high level, chase these young dudes around. And yeah, man, I just love the game, man. And like I said, I used to be like, man, it saved me, but no, I know that the Heavenly Father gave it to me as an outlet and as it's a ministry for me in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? I know I got a little bit of influence with the game, man, and it's just a blessing, man. So I just want to use it for His glory, and that's where, you know, even the name Kingdom for the summer league. It's like, man, I could have easily tried to make it about me or put my name on it or my neighborhood name on it or something. I was like, nah, I'm gonna represent the kingdom, and it's gonna be a certain culture about it. You feel me? Like we pray before the games, and everybody knows what it is. It's not in a church or nothing like that, but we know the motto from the jump. It was the first year. It's so funny because I just put up on Instagram. You know, when you get the memories. So 6 years ago was the first day, and it just popped up in my memory, and I put it on Instagram. But like from the outset, spread love and the good of my hood, because I had it in my hood. I had it at Sawyer Recreation Center, so I wanted to spotlight that, the good of my hood. This is something positive in my hood, and I wanted, and it was also spread love. You know what I mean? Spread love is the kingdom way. Started spread love, the brand. So, yeah, man, that's the mission, man. And spread love holds me accountable, too, because it's a lot of times you get in your flesh and you know, with people, with your own shortcomings, and you want to move a certain way. And then I got to remind myself, like, bro, you represent spread love, and spread love is the kingdom way, and this and this and that. Like, I got to really live that, you know what I mean? So.
No, I love it, man. And that's the one of the things that I, you know, being from Detroit and, you know, seeing how some athletes here they got platforms and they got, you know, a lot of influence. I'm just excited to see you take your influence and take your career and use it as a vehicle or a tool to draw these young men to the kingdom. And like you said, they know what it is. They know what it's about. You don't have to sing gospel songs and have, you know, all the teams named by biblical characters or something like that. You don't have to be like that, man. It's just something subtle just to let them know, just to put them on notice what we all about. And talk about some of the, the cool things that you've been able to do with the Kingdom Summer League. You guys got a lot of former Buckeyes that come through there and play, and a lot of the top players here in the Columbus area, they play in this league, man. And you guys got some guys that's in the league today that are doing well, and they have experience with the summer league.
Yeah, it was a blessing, man. I'll tell you this once again. Going to school out in California, having friends and family, and spending time in New York, Chicago area. I was able to see the DMV area. I was able to see summertime basketball and how important it is to the basketball culture and the community of a city, especially a Black community. You know what I'm saying? We love basketball. So with that, I would come home in the summer when I was in college, and you're looking for a good run because, and college is so intense. Whatever sport you play in, every practice is intense. You're getting better. Everything is full speed. You playing a certain way. You playing the right way. So when you come home when you come home and you can't find a good run, it's like, we would have Ohio State to go play, but that was like 2 times a week. You 19, 20, you trying to play 6-7 days a week. So I came home and we had the Worthington League, and I always want to show love to the Worthington League. They're the pioneers. We had the Worthington League, but like around our years, it was kind of dying out, and Thad Matta kind of took the Buckeyes away from it. So it was kind of dying out, or it was kind of watered down. I don't want to say dying out, but it was kind of watered down. Mm-hmm. So me being in LA and experiencing their culture in New York and, the 3 biggest cities, I was like, man, this is incredible. You know what I'm saying? So what I did was like, at the time, it was just a seed right there. But at the time, I didn't know it was going to turn into this. So once I got older, I saw the same dilemma with the kid. Because I started training. I've been training since like 2005. But I helped one of my good friends named Anthony Roman. He started a business called In God's Image. And we were like probably the biggest camp in Columbus. And that's where my relationships with a lot of the younger guys that are like pros now began. We were training them up when they were in high school. So the Trey Burks and the Javon Besses and the Nick Wards and those guys, we were like the big brothers to them. And once we saw when they were in college, like, dang, it's the same thing. There's nowhere for them to really get busy and, not only just because we could do it open gym.
Right.
But here's the thing. Once guys go from high school to college, the people who watch them come up through the ranks, they don't get to see them as much in person anymore. If it's not on TV, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, we get these open runs and we can compete in. But what about the younger kids that are in high school and middle school and elementary school? I want them to see this. I want them to understand what it takes and rub shoulders with some of these guys. Yeah. And we talked about it amongst our camp, and then it came to a point, and I got to say this part. Rest in peace to the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe. He's one of my mentors before he passed. And I had to take this. I took some courses up under him, and you had to do a servant leadership course, but you had to do something. So one of the things, and it was like, whatever your passion is, whatever your purpose is, and obviously basketball is one for me. So I had to do this task, and I completed it. But that right there was like, all right, now do the kingdom. Like, don't wait for nothing. Don't wait for the money, the sponsorships, the venue, none of that. Like, just go. And I went, man. I started at Sawyer, humble beginnings, out my own pocket, me and my wife, putting everything together. And as we did it, man, everybody that we needed, the Heavenly Father just sent them to us. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, in terms of the players, it was easy because I was a pretty good player, and players know players. You know what I'm saying? And I had a good relationship with all the best guys, and they jumped at it. And like with Trey Burke, he was one of the ones that was the pioneers talking about it, helping put it together. So, yeah, we've been blessed, man. Obviously, Trey
Shout out
Burke,
to him, man.
Oh, that's my dude. Just killed the other day.
You see what he just did the other day?
He just killed the other day. But for me, that's expected. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
his story is so incredible because he's so resilient, man. He's been through so much adversity. He's been the underdog. Shout out to you. He's been the underdog for so many years. You know what I'm saying? And he's fought back against the wall every time he comes out on top, man. And that was just another example of it. So I'm just extremely happy for him. But the Kingdom League might as well be his. How much he represents it and loves it. Who else? Jared Sullinger. When he was in the apex of NBA and NBA was always there. He's still there. He just hasn't played because of his health. We got another guy on the Cavs that was there that played last year. He's not from here, but he'll be locked in with us from here on out. Antonius Cleveland. He comes off the bench for the Mavs. And we got a few more NBA guys. Travis Trice. And it's so crazy. It's a blessing, though, and I know it's going to be huge next year, but I talked to some of the Cavs this year, and I knew for sure I was going to get one down. We was going to have about four more NBA guys that aren't from Columbus to play this year. So I'm looking forward to next year. But like I said, the biggest thing for me is, I'll give you a case in point. Luther Muhammad, that played at Ohio State last year, he would come to the Kingdom, man, and he would literally have like 4 kids sitting on the bench with him, playing with him one-on-one before the game, gave a couple of them his phone number, brought them to practice. Like, to me, those are the invaluable things of bringing a community together in the name of whatever. It could be, you know, the African-American Wellness Walk or whatever it is, but bringing us together in solidarity and unity and positivity and love being spread and everybody getting uplifted and people meeting each other and being encouraged. To me, that's what it's about more than just basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, you're doing that at the highest level, and you can see the impact that it's having on, you know, on the lives of others, man. So like the community that you have within the Kingdom Summer League has just really taken things to another level. I know you guys do outreach as well. You're active in the community. You're just not about getting basketball players together in the summertime. You're actually doing things throughout the year. Like, you've been in partnership with the African American Male Wellness Walk, and this year is the Freedom Run, which is, by the way, August 8th, which is this Saturday. So we're walking in our hoods this weekend. Yeah, we're excited about it. I'm glad that we're going to still be able to walk, you know, together, but obviously in our different hoods. I think that's going to be a cool idea, man. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that.
I want to shout out Columbus Fatherhood too, man. We've worked together in the past and did some special things, man. And he's helped me personally with my custody case, man. He does a lot. He goes unnoticed and unheralded. Stephon Dunn, shout out him, man. So yeah, I'm willing to partner and work with anybody trying to do good in the community, man. A lot of times, you know, I try to stay from out of the forefront outside of basketball stuff. I just believe in the verse of you know, not letting your left hand know what your right hand doing. You know what I'm saying? But some things get out there, and I'm okay with that. But as long as people are getting inspired to do good, man, and spread love.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that God is going to continue to bless you and your amazing family, and because of your obedience to the calling that He's placed on your life, and for you to be bold with who you are and who you belong to and what you're all about is so needed in this world today. So I consider it an honor and a privilege to walk alongside you and your family in this journey as we continue to do things that are extending the reach of the kingdom and bringing people closer to Him, because we might be the only God that some people actually can relate to. And for them to actually ask us, well, what is it about? Like, why are you the way you are? How are you handling this crisis or this pandemic or anything that's thrown your way like this? It's just because for one, I mean, we're His kids. So he'll never leave us and He'll never forsake us. So we just hold on to that. And at the end of the day, we just trust and believe that it's truly working together for our good. And it shows that it has. If you look at your life, there's been some ups and some downs, some valleys and some highs, man. But you can really stand on the word that, you know, everything has worked together for your good, and you're taking this and you're doing good with it. So I continue to commend you, man. I salute you. Anything that I can do on my end to partner with what you're doing, I think it's incredible. And let's continue to do what you say, man, which is spread love the kingdom way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where can people find you, man?
Oh, man, I'm usually on Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, the handle is Kingdom Summer League. And also the Spread Love brand, at the Spread Love brand. And on Facebook is the same thing, Kingdom Summer League. So, yep. And I'm definitely looking forward. We got a link, man. I got some stuff in mind, man, you might want to be a part of, man. We definitely get out in the trenches and do some community work.
Absolutely. I would love to do it, man. You know, I'm just a shout away. So, hey, you know what it is, man. Continue doing what you're doing. And we'll talk soon, big guy.